Everyone. Welcome to Crypto with English, hosted by me, Adam English. So, I'd like to warmly welcome our guest today. I'm beyond excited to have Marina Foncuberta Cortés here as our guest. Now, I'm going to give you a little recap of her background, and then we're going to get into the weeds about what she's worked on and some of the interesting things going on in blockchain regulation. So, she's a Madrid based blockchain and cryptocurrency attorney at the prestigious and up and coming ATH 21 law firm, where she's also a senior associate at. She's also a blockchain professor at one of the local universities as well. So, from data protection, blockchain projects, upcoming regulations in the EU and the US, she has a vast background of knowledge and expertise to offer and a wealth of perspective on upcoming regulations in this space, which is particularly very important. 2021 has been a real benchmark year for blockchain cryptocurrency. So again, Marina, I warmly welcome you to the show. Thank you very much for coming on. I would like to know a little bit more about your background, your CV, and your experience. Now, from what I can see, there aren't too many specialized attorneys in the blockchain space right now, as this is relatively new, but also it's a very nuanced and complex subject matter. So, can you tell me a little bit about your work right here in this field?
Okay, well, first of all, thank you, Adam, for inviting me. Uh, Having this kind of programs and blockchain meetings are great because it's a way for introducing people to blockchain, which is, as you said, a very new topic. And, people are not like very used to it. Some people are afraid. Some people are they just demonize cryptocurrencies. So these programs are great for them to understand what we are doing and how we are trying to develop a transparent and clear ecosystem for everybody to use it. Always legal by design, as I am a lawyer. Always legal, of course. Talking
Absolutely.
about my background, well, as you've said, I'm a lawyer. I'm specialized in privacy, blockchain, cybersecurity, e-commerce, and commercial law, because commercial law is the base for every lawyer. Without commercial law, you cannot deal with any kind of contract or agreement.
Right.
So, it's the base for everybody. Uh, uh, as I am a privacy, blockchain, new technologies lawyer, I have experience, let's say, in advising on, for example, structuring IT programs. Also, I give advice on supporting technology firms, launching products in new markets. Also, I've advised on personal data cross-border transactions, which is a really important matter. Um, of course, enabling business innovation and transformation, which is one of the best things I've done, maybe through the advice on blockchain technology issues and the implementation of tools based on blockchain. And of course, the base of my career was data protection, and I've advised a lot with companies on the GDPR compliance. GDPR is the European Data Protection Regulation. So every
Yes.
time I say GDPR, just to make sure everybody understands that this is the European Data Protection Regulation. As you have said, I have always worked in international law firms. I started in my first job, I would say, was in Garrigues, which is a Spanish law firm, but it's one of the most important Spanish law firms. It's a very, very prestigious one. There's where I had my base of commercial law. The best school I've had in this sense, I have to say. Then I moved to Jones Day, where I started advising on new technologies. And actually, I did a secondment in IBM, helping them to comply with GDPR, to make all their tools, which are a lot, compliant with GDPR. And then my last job, let's say, was in Pins and Masons, which is an English law firm, um, where I started working on blockchain. This was in 2017, which is, let's say, early for this technology. It's
Right.
early. Let's say
Definitely.
that. Yeah. I mean, it's a very new technology. So having 4 or 5 years of experience, it's a lot. And well, actually, in Vincent Masons, I was involved in the global blockchain strategy leadership team. So this enabled me to talk with other jurisdictions, have other points of view on how the jurisdictions were approaching this new technology. I strengthened the international blockchain relationships, so it gave me like a broad vision on how the world was approaching this technology.
Right.
And this is it.
Well, I mean,
Currently,
listen, that's a
yeah.
yes. Continue.
No, just I'm at ATH 21, which is a blockchain and crypto specialized law firm,
And
and
does that
we'll
mean
see
all-time
later.
high by any chance?
Sorry.
ATH, does that mean all-time high by any chance?
Yeah, I mean, everybody. Sometimes, I mean, people who don't know anything about crypto, they say, "ATH 21. What's that? You need to
Right.
change the name. What?" And it's like, no, you don't. You don't know what we mean. Yeah, it's all time high and 21. Some people they think that is the 21 for the year because this law firm was found in 2021. But no, the 21 is because of the 21 million Bitcoin.
That is awesome. And I would like
It's
to
a freak
actually
name.
no, I like it. And in
Ah,
fact,
me
I
too.
think it's very fitting for how important and
Yeah.
popular the space is. And I would also like to preface something to the audience. So part of the importance of having Marina on here today is that um, as we have regulatory bodies here in the United States that deal with securities and data, Europe has their own counterparts for exactly those functions. So we are essentially going to be exploring those counterparts. So, as for example, as here we have the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission. So they regulate securities and securities related matters, especially when it comes to fraud and insider trading and things like that. Europe has the same mechanisms, just really under a different name. However, there seems to be two different philosophies between the way the US is going about dealing with blockchain and the way Europe is dealing with blockchain. And that is going to be I guess you could say, the nitty gritty we'll get into today. So, for you, practicing law in Europe, in Spain specifically, blockchain regulations. Where is Spain on this, and where do you think the direction of the rest of Europe will be when it comes to blockchain regulation, or how blockchain friendly do you think Europe will be?
Okay. Well, I have to say that, well, first of all, two things, two big disclaimers before this. I'm gonna talk about what I know, which is the Spanish regulator point of view and the European regulator point of view.
Okay.
I'm gonna like introduce how we're approaching the different tokens and how we're treating them. Uh, I don't know the the SEC. Sorry, I mean I don't deal with that. So what I'm talking about is just the European and the Spanish point of view. Okay,
Absolutely.
I don't want any problems. Like the SEC doesn't say that. No, no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying what Europe and Spain are saying,
Okay.
and how the ecosystem is the evolution of the ecosystem. Well, to me, it's been a huge evolution in 3 years, I would say. I've been able to see this huge change because I've been involved in this ecosystem for 4 or 5 years ago. um, and I think it's awesome because we are embracing blockchain step by step, little by little, but finally, we can see regulation, we can see light in order to regulate all the activities and all the different uses. So every time a client, for example, from Latin America, we have a lot of clients from Latin America, and they ask us, is Spain a good has a good regulatory framework for creating blockchain projects and for working on blockchain projects? And we say yes, because Spain is a very crypto-friendly country. We have really clear what we can and we cannot do. We have really clear the regulation that we need to apply. And of course, we're waiting for regulation for being approved. So yes, Europe and especially Spain, because it's the regulation that I'm specialized in. It's a very good regulatory framework to work on blockchain. And the second disclaimer,
yes,
sorry,
no worries,
was that it's important. It's really important because people tell me like, but we don't have a blockchain technology. Sorry, we don't have a blockchain law. We don't have a blockchain regulation, and blockchain. The same is there's no internet law. It cannot be blockchain law. Blockchain is a technology, and depending on how you use that technology, you will be affected by one law or another. For example, in case of blockchain with the NFTs fever we are currently experiencing, people ask me, hey, okay, which technology applies here? Because there's not a blockchain regulation. Well, in this case, of course, we'll have, for example, intellectual property law, because as an NFT is an artistic work, inherently involves copyright. And on the other hand, we'll have, for example, the tax issues, which is what tax obligations do I have to comply with if I bought an NFT for 100 euros and I sold it for 1,000 euros. So as you can see, it really depends on how we use the technology, how regulation affects it. Those are my two disclaimers.
And as far as Spain being a very blockchain-friendly country, could you tell me a little bit about the startup culture that's going on there?
Yeah, well, we are here in 8821. We are available to see how much the crypto space is growing.
Yes.
And in different, for example, in 2017, the ECOS initial coin offerings boom was huge, and all the projects were the same, just ECOS and ECOS and ECOS. And now we see totally different projects, from NFTs, exchanges, video games, of course, initial coin offerings, a lot of DeFi, decentralized finance projects. So we see a huge boom regarding startups, but they are startups with a lot of knowledge, and that's something that I would like to point out. I remember in 2017, people coming to Cristina, who is my boss, Cristina Carrascosa, and me, like, I want to do something in blockchain, but I don't know what. I don't know what I want. I just want to do something in blockchain, something like a marketing thing. And now we see people like really specialized with a really a technical high level, and it's awesome to work with them, because it's like you learn from them, and it's awesome.
Right. Now, could you tell me a little bit about the firm that you practice at, ATH21? And by the way, I have to say, also coming from essentially the same world as you, I know that Jones Day is a very prestigious law firm, historically and currently as well, and they have their hand in numerous projects, and I think they handle almost every facet of law. So going from, let's say, Jones Day, which is kind of the old guard as far as prestigious law firms, and moving towards essentially a very hip, very new, very very forward-thinking law firm like ATH21. Tell me about what you do there, and tell me how you ended up going there to practice, and I guess pursuing blockchain and cryptocurrency related legal projects, because there's not too many firms, as far as I know, that specifically handle that. So you're in a very, very new area, to say the least. So I'd like to know about some of your experience there.
Yeah, sure. Well, as you said, I started at Jones Day and Pins and Masons, and my my background, not my background, but my idea at those law firms is that they are very traditional law firms. Opening a new area, a new practice in those kind of law firms, such as blockchain, that is so new, and it requires so technical skills. It's not easy.
Yeah.
How I arrived where I am today. Well, as I've told you, I started in Pins and Masons, working on new technologies matters, and my boss, my current boss, Cristina Carrascosa, which is one of the most important reference here in blockchain here in Spain and in Europe, was hired too. Before she was hired, I used to follow her and I read her books. I mean, and I was already interested in blockchain because I knew it was a huge thing. And when she was hired by Pins and Masons to open this new practice in this law firm, I just stuck with her and start working with her. And we realized that this new matter is still really young for those big and traditional law firms that need to move really, really fast. I mean,
Right.
blockchain needs you to be really fast, and you need to be updated, you need to be efficient. I'm not saying they are not efficient. I'm saying that it's a very quick ecosystem, and these traditional law firms are not that quick because they are big. They are monsters,
Right.
monsters in the good sense, of course. And it was not possible to open in those kind of law firms this practice. That's why we create 8821, which is a firm specialized in blockchain and crypto. As you said, we are unique in the Spanish market, and for this, it's been essential and really essential to train and study at a technical level, because if you want to advise about which law is applicable in a client's project, or in order to know if something is legal or not, the first thing you have to do is understand what the client is doing.
Sure.
If you don't know what it's a DAO, a liquidity pool, a token bonding cube, a smart contract, or even a token, you won't be able to analyze how to apply the law in those cases. And I think that is what makes us unique in the Spanish market as a firm, that we are practically the only legal reference who know the sector, and that you talk us about a wallet and we don't run away as most of the lawyers
Right.
in Spain.
Right. And
So
obviously,
that's
yes, I'm sorry, go on.
no, yeah. That's it.
All right. So without getting into, privileged information, when clients approach you and approach your practice, what type of work tends to come your way? Are you helping, I guess you could say, business formation for startups? Are you advising on token creation? Are you advising on tax matters? Like what type of, I guess you could say, client tends to come your way?
I know it sounds weird, but all of them, because
Okay.
they are lost. They are lost, and they want. I mean, we have two type of clients. We have the blockchain service providers, which are startups that provide a service based on blockchain technology.
Right.
And we have companies, traditional companies that wants to do something related to blockchain technology. They want to apply blockchain technology inside their companies. So most of our clients, I would say, they are the first ones, because they are startups that want to be legal by design, and they don't know
Right.
how to approach with this. And sometimes they even need help with, for example, tokenomics, which is the economy inside the project regarding the tokens. They need help even with our, as we have advised so many projects, we have like a little intuition of the market. We know very good the market. We really good how the market answers to a project, to a blockchain project. So they want also that feedback, not only a legal feedback, but also a market feedback. Sorry.
Right.
So yeah, that's the point. And what they need from us, well, as I've told you, blockchain depends on how you use it. We have copyright, we have data protection, tax. It's really important. Corporate, commercial, cybersecurity. I mean, all those laws, compliance with AML, of course.
Right.
Sorry, all those laws are applicable, but people don't know how to apply it. So all those we apply all those regulations from the beginning to the end of the project to make it legal in every stage and in
Right.
everything, every activity they do for
Right.
selling.
Right. You want to make you help your clients make sure they do everything by the letter of the law, so to say. So,
Yeah,
which is by the way, the exact way a practice should handle it. So, as
should
far
be.
as
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
right. So, as far as blockchain regulation, if you can kind of give me a general sense of where Europe is in this, and I'll, in contrast, I'll give you an idea of where the U.S. is. I would say, at least as far as the U.S., it's kind of a little bit more bearish. Right now, I don't think, whether it's Washington, D.C., where our laws tend to be made, or whether it's Wall Street, um, Wall Street is slowly warming up to cryptocurrency. And as far as our lawmakers in D.C., the only real, I guess, tangible approach that they're trying to use is to figure out how to regulate and tax it. There doesn't seem to be really a great depth of understanding, whether it's from most of our senators or Congress people. So right now, if you look at any news regarding blockchain and cryptocurrency, more often than not, what's being communicated by Washington D.C. is how do we regulate it and how do we tax it and how do we make the IRS understand this so we can actually start going after and, like, I guess you could say, taxing, capital gains. So it seems lately this year the U.S. Is not viewed as necessarily the most blockchain friendly of ecosystems, but we do have certain areas that are, such as Miami, which have very, very, I guess you would say, generous and kind state and local laws regarding business and tech startups and things like that. So, as far as Spain, for instance, let's say starting there, what would your general opinion be? Now, I know it's blockchain friendly, but could you just give some more specifics on that?
Sure. Well, first of all, let's do like how can I say, a distinction. Okay,
Yes.
it's important to understand that there are two kind of tokens. Okay, and with analyzing this distinction, sorry, we will be able to see what the SEC, sorry, is saying. Okay. Um, the Spanish National Commission Stock Market, which is our authority, uh, issued a statement with the Bank of Spain differentiating, sorry, between utility and security tokens. Okay, what is a security token? Generally, it's a token that grant a stake in the future income or increase in value the issuing entity. Okay, and utility tokens are tokens that give you the right to access to a service or to receive a product. Okay, for these purposes, doctrinally, we would speak of a utility token where we are in the presence of tokens that allow digital access to applications or services always supported by a structure based on blockchain technology. In principle, utility tokens do not attribute any kind of rights or expectations of participation in a, let's say, a potential revaluation or profitability of
Right.
businesses or projects. Okay,
Right.
those are utility tokens. And then we have the security tokens that attribute rights or expectations of
Right.
participation in a revaluation or profitability or projects. Okay, and we assume that investors acquire these kind of tokens only for this purpose. Okay. In this sense, what we assume in Spain doctrinally is that security tokens are considered that they grant rights that can be considered equivalent to shares, bonds,
Right.
and financial instruments. Those financial instruments are included in the securities market law. So it is
That makes
regulated.
sense. Yes. Right.
This means this what says is that although there is not a specific regulation of security tokens, it is generally accepted that crypto assets assimilated to capital market securities must comply with this securities market law. So it is regulated. Okay.
Right.
And then we have the utility tokens that they are going to be regulated by MiCA. That we can discuss about this later.
Right.
So, in this sense, what Europe has done, I think, in a very intelligent way, is to close the circle and just organize this kind of tokens. The problem is that the SEC doesn't considers all tokens as security tokens, and that's, I mean, impossible.
Right.
No.
Right. And by the way, yes. Sorry. Go on.
No. Sure. Continue.
No, I was going to say, and by the way, thank you for actually explaining that and making that clear distinction. And by the way, I think this is a good part on Spanish and European law to actually make this distinction between what a security token is and what I guess you could say a utility token is. So I guess
utility token.
Right. So essentially, security, aka you could say this is also an investment. So certain rights and certain, I guess you could say, expectations and I guess you could say increase in valuation vest, or at least tend to at certain periods of time. So there is at least some sort of expectation. There will be an increase of value. So that makes it kind of a tangible security. Hence, whether it's the SEC or a European regulatory body, they can essentially tax it. They can essentially do rulemaking and essentially enact laws to deal with those issues. And the utility token, effectively, I always viewed utility tokens. These are essentially tokens that almost, you could say, enable or facilitate some aspect or some function of the blockchain. And that could either be voting, that could be using some sort of tool on that. And I think that is good. That is good to actually highlight, because that distinction is not actually communicated very well over here, for instance. So, I could essentially be using, for instance, I could be using Avalanche. I could be essentially purchasing tokens, not for the sake of investment, but for the sake of, let's say, creating a smart contract, for instance, or, essentially, acquiring the necessary, output or gas, so to say. Maybe gas is not the right word, but effectively it's to essentially catalyze another function of that, I guess I'd say, of that blockchain. So thank you for actually going through that. So as far as, interesting projects that you're working on, without getting into too much details, without violating any type of confidentiality or privileges, you're right. Is there anything that you find particularly exciting that you are at liberty of discussing right now?
I'm not going to tell you any name, because I don't feel like very comfortable with that.
Right, I wouldn't expect you to provide that.
No, but I can tell you what things we are working on right now in 8821. We have we have a lot of different projects. We have a lot of. Do you remember that I've told you that in 2017 we had a lot of initial token offerings?
Right.
Well, right now we have another boom of initial token offerings, and it's really interesting because we help the client not only in the legal aspect of writing the white paper or the terms and conditions of the platform and all of that, but we help them to build the project since the beginning, because sometimes the projects come to us like, hey, I want to launch an utility token, but I think it sounds more like a security token. And we
Right.
analyze the project, and it's like, yeah, this is a security token offering, not an initial token
Right.
offering, and it requires different. You need to comply with different requirements in each case. So we help the client to change the project, so we have an utility token instead of a security token. And it's really interesting because that obliges you to read, understand the market, understand what the users want. And that's part of our legal advice. It's not legal advice, it's advice, but it's part of the services we provide, and it's the ones that I love most. I also liked a lot to help with them with the tokenomics part, which is you need to understand the supply, how
Right.
you're gonna, if you're gonna burn the tokens, or if you're going to introduce a vesting period, or all the economic system behind the project regarding the tokens. I think it's really, really interesting because you see every time different things. I mean, I'm learning every day, and I think that's the most exciting things
Yeah.
of my job. Um, Also, we have exchanges and custodians. I don't know if you want me to explain what is exchange or a custodian, or well, I think
Yeah.
we
If
all
you, yes,
understand
if you
at this
wish. But
point.
if you feel there's anything you need to elaborate on, floor is yours.
An exchange and a custodian. It's let's say there are two service providers, both service providers of blockchain technology, and an exchange is a, let's say, it's a platform used to exchange money from fiat, from money, normal money, to cryptocurrency. Okay, it's just like Coinbase. It's the same
Right.
activity like Coinbase. And then the custodian are the ones that protect your wallet. As you know, in blockchain, we are not Marina or Adam, or we
Right.
are a public key and a private key. So they are the ones who protect your wallet, because without keys you don't have any crypto assets. So we have as the the fifth AML directive, regarding the anti-money laundering directive, requires to comply with some obligations to those kind of service provider. We have clients that do those kind of services, and we are helping them to comply with the law. um, I also we have a lot of NFTs clients, which is crazy because we have music, football players, well, soccer players, um, video games, esports,
Sure.
NFTs. So it's really interesting because you need to, as I've said before regarding the initial coin offering projects, you need to build the whole project since the beginning,
Right.
and it's awesome. And we also are working on fan tokens, a lot of fan tokens.
Fan tokens. And by the way, I have to say, since you're also a professor in this subject matter, I think that was a very that was a very great way of explaining what an exchange, what a custodian is, and so on and so forth. So I would say this, as a, let's say, as a professor, if you were to explain what a non-fungible token is to a classroom, how would you explain it? What would your definition of it be?
Okay, an NFT, of course, stands for non-fungible token. An NFT, it's a digital asset. So far, so good. The value of an NFT lies in their non-fungible nature, which means that there are not two NFTs that are the same. Each NFT is unique. Okay, if an asset
Very
is
good distinction to
fungible,
make. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
If an asset is fungible, it can be freely exchanged with another asset from the same denomination. the best example to understand this is, for example, with a dollar bill. If I have a dollar in my pocket, it worth exactly the same that the dollar in your pocket. Because why? Because they are fungible. Okay, so in order to translate this in art, for example, there can be many copies of a Van Gogh painting, but there's only one that is the original. And NFTs are the same, but in a digital format.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely a great explanation of non-fungible tokens, especially in light of how popular they are. So what value do you
Yeah.
think they truly bring? So, obviously this is a little controversial, especially in the art world, defining what is art. Are NFTs considered truly art? Especially if you were to name classical artists. Now, you also mentioned fan tokens as well, which are becoming more and more popular as well. What value do you think NFTs bring? And maybe, as an attorney, you could explain what criticisms would you have of NFTs as well?
Okay. Well, I think that there are two. Sorry, I had an email in my screen.
No,
I'm
no
sorry.
worries. No worries.
I think that the most. I mean, I think that the NFTs bring two important to. We need to understand two things about NFTs. That they bring a sentimental point of view. Sorry, and financial value, of course. Regarding the financial value, NFTs have intrinsic value at a conceptual level, since they imply a revolution, I think, in the concept of the income generation. NFTs allow users to monetize their time, or as it is known in the gaming world, the play to earn. Okay.
Right.
For example, I am advising a client with a video game that consists of the players play. Of course, the players play.
Yeah.
They win tokens, and with those tokens they buy NFTs, and those NFTs are exchangeable. Okay, that is to say that playing the game can provide the user with an income. So when a player purchases a skin, such as, for example, a new weapon for their avatar in the video game,
Right.
that means that that asset can be traded, allowing their owners to monetize their time spent in the game.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's awesome. So this ability for a player to earn income for the time and effort they've put into a game, it's an undeniable attraction, sorry, especially for virtual world. So as we can see, NFTs are a revolution in obtaining economic returns, as it is something more than just collecting stickers.
Right.
And then, of course,
Right.
we have this sentimental point of view, which is that rare and exclusive things, I mean, they are always something to acquire.
Right. Wow, it's pretty
I would
interesting.
say that,
Especially. Yes.
yeah, I
Continue.
would say that no, yes, I guess that this is the most important thing. I guess the key of the remuneration of the at the end, NFTs deep, or NFTs how they work with smart contracts, and the
Yes.
key of the remuneration lies in the programmable money that smart contracts allow. At the end, I guess
Right.
that what is revolutionary, it's not the tokenization, it is the programmability of yields in a digital
Yeah.
and global space.
Interesting. Yeah, I think NFTs, especially with gaming, it's very important, very significant. It's almost like a parallel economy at the same time as well. And that kind of leads me to one of my last questions coming up. How do you think Spanish and European law will deal with non-fungible tokens? Because non-fungible tokens, they do create value, clearly, especially if you look in the art world. These are selling in the millions now. Uh, so the distinction of a security and utility, I think that's a good starting point, and I think maybe that will probably be incorporated in some of the thinking behind this. But what direction do you see maybe future regulation going in when it comes to dealing with dealing with non-fungible tokens?
Well, it is difficult to say, but I guess a non-fungible token. I mean, Mika has. I mean, NFTs are not in the scope of Mika, so Mika is not
Right.
applicable for NFTs. So they are not an utility token. Of course, they are not. I guess they are not a security token because, I mean, of course they increase their value, but almost everything increase their value. I mean, you can buy olive plants in Andalusia, and they
Oh
will
yeah.
be and they will increase their value, or avocado plants that right now are like booming. So not everything is a security just because the profitable point of view. So I guess they won't be considered as a security. I think they will be considered more as an utility than a security, but who knows?
Right. Awesome. And that's great. And listen, I do know you have to step out and teach a class soon. So thank you so much for coming onto the show today, getting into some of the nuances regarding, I guess you could say, some of the legal mechanisms and regulations, now and coming forward. And I look forward to, scheduling our next appearance. I know you wanted to, I know as we discussed, a separate NFT episode, which I'd be more than happy to set up and actually get into some more of the details and have more of an NFT, I guess you could say, focused session. So, Marina, again, thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure having you on today. I very much looking
The pleasure
forward.
was mine.
Thank you. And I'm very much looking forward to having you on next time soon.
Perfect. Thank you, Adam. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much for your
much. All
time.
right. Thank you. And take care.
Bye.
See you soon.